Peace, everyone. I would like to welcome you to another episode of The Foundation here on High Frequency Radio Network. I am your host, Sot. It is definitely my pleasure to be here with you this wonderful day. The Foundation, where we understand incorrect information incorrectly applied can get you hurt. Correct information incorrectly applied can get you hurt. So we're looking to correctly apply correct information here on The Foundation. I want to say all honors, praises, thanks, due to God, the Creator and the ancestors. For without them, we would not be here. I want to say peace to Big Brother Yusuf L. My brother, High Frequency Radio Network, highfrequencyradionetwork.com, creator extraordinary, my guy. So, big shout out to Big Brother Yusuf. highfrequencyradionetwork.com, as I said, that's where you want to go to get your info. Definitely. Welcome to the foundation.com, just like it sounds. Got a PDF section. Get your info on for free. Just, if you're down to read, you're down to succeed. You can also shoot, me an email. You can sign up for the email list. You can make a donation, set up a consultation, find all the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook pages for the Foundation, all at that one spot. Welcome to thefoundation.com. You can also check out some past episodes. Give us a second. We're going to upload some more. Honestly, I've been slacking. It's going to be real. I want to say peace to all the trustees and all those who have been investing in their private education. Salute. Peace to anyone I've done business with in the private. Also, anyone who's made a donation, send an email, send well wishes or current event. Peace to Sister Yvette or anyone who's otherwise added to the Foundation. This goes out to you. Also, I want to say peace to, my special guest today, Brother David from THANDO Radio. I'm gonna pull him in actually right now before I get to current events. I only got a couple. Let me double check, make sure that I got the right number. Peace, Brother David. I got the right number. My brother. Hey, how
can you
doing?
Hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you perfectly.
Right? Man.
Thanks for coming back. I appreciate it.
I'm home.
I definitely want to give you a big up. This brother right here, y'all, this is, I'm just going to put it out there, honestly. He's my precious metals mentor. I met this brother, I'm a studier. I'm a seeker, obviously. SOT does stand for Seeker of Truth. But, I met this brother. I saw him at an event. Was introduced to him. I heard him speak. And, a lot of the stuff that he said, I knew, but he knew quite a bit of stuff that I hadn't even heard of, which I thought was really impressive. And then, when I got to, become one of his mentees, he really opened up the gates and really showed, excuse my language, he showed his ass. You know what I mean? He really showed me that my brother is really, really an expert in the field of precious metals. Precious metals as investments, as real money, the geopolitical aspects that go into precious metals, the tracking of, you name it. This brother, I can't say enough. So, yeah, I say, I have several mentors when it comes to, my private education. This brother is definitely one of four. I do want to, welcome you to the show once again, man. Thank you for coming, man.
Brother, man, so it's home, and I'm so happy to be here because it's where we're supposed to be. And I'm going to tell you, our relationship is a very personal one as well, more than just business. We're connected, and we're connected. I'm going to tell you, when it comes to my family, you can tell how close you are to me if my family knows your name and they know you. And so I'm greatly honored for everything that you're doing. You know what? brother, I wouldn't want to be anywhere than right here with the warriors that we all know, that we collaborate with, that we strategize with, and that we make ourselves available to. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. This is where I asked to be, and I definitely think that all of the warriors are in that same, same elk, and they same a cut of that same cloth, and they intentionally wanted to be here. And one of the things I always say is that a soldier can never do what a warrior thinks, because a soldier takes orders. A warrior provides the path to sovereignty and self-determination. So that's who you are to me. And we know many brothers and sisters that are of like mind, like energy. This is why they come to the foundation. They listen, and they are actually enlightened and given an opportunity to question things because of your program and what you do, which is critical because the airways are sacred. The airways are completely sacred, because what it happens is that the airways is a frequency into the mind of the will of the people. And you orchestrate that so well, brother. And I was sitting back, just jamming to the intro, listening to it, and just realizing, man, this is where I want to be. And I want to be here with you and your listeners and the posse of people that we have, that you know of. And I'm looking forward to enduring it all together, because that is what breeds unity. That's what breeds strength. And there is no other stronger than the great will of the great Creator that's been put into us as the image of perfection. And you definitely exemplify that, my brother.
Hey, all praises, to the Creator. I appreciate those words, though, man. Like, that was really, really heartfelt. I'm glad we see eye to eye when it comes to, getting this information out to the overall body of our people. Because as we both know, if you can just hear what we're saying, you will be interested. And if you can get interested and be dedicated and consistent, it will change your life. So, with that being said, I'm going to go into a couple of current events real quick, man.
Sure.
Just bear with me. And if you got anything, that you can throw in, because I just got 4 little articles that I pulled. First, from Reuters, China is going to slap an additional tariffs of $16 billion on U.S. goods. That's 25% on $16 billion worth of U.S. goods, from fuel to steel products to autos and medical equipment. The Chinese Commerce Ministry said, as the world's largest economies escalate their trade dispute. It's a war. We're in trade war. We've been in trade war territory. And, let's just leave it at that. If y'all want to check that out, it's China to slap additional tariffs on $16 billion of U.S. goods. That's on Reuters. I'm going to move forward. I thought this was funny. This is from a couple weeks ago. Trump flags and hats made in China are reportedly being held up at customs as trade war heats up. This cracks me up because, Trump is getting ready, to start his next campaign for presidency, Trump 2020, and to keep America great. Because apparently it's great now. He made it great. But, his campaign stuff is getting held up in customs due to the tariffs and the overall trade wars that are taking place right now. Newsworthy on Newsweek, Saudi Arabia orders 16,000 students to leave Canada amid escalating clash. Saudi Arabia has canceled the scholarships for 16,000 of its students studying in Canada, also ordering them to leave the country and find academic programs elsewhere. The move comes amid growing diplomatic row between the kingdom and the North American country, following comments by Canada's foreign minister that criticized Saudi Arabia's human rights record and called on Riyadh to release detained activists. Responding to the criticism, Saudi Arabia also cut diplomatic ties with Canada, so it was an all-new trade and investment and canceled flights. be its national carrier to Toronto. Y'all should check that out. There's not only things escalating between the United States and Russia and China, Iran, and Syria, but there's things escalating with Canada and Saudi Arabia. And bottom line, if you look at it, it's Eastern versus Western that I see being set up, and it just doesn't look good. China's UNIPEC, you can check that out in Newsweek, with regards to Saudi Arabia ordering 16,000 students out of Canada. Next up, Reuters. China's UNIPEC suspends imports of U.S. oil amid growing trade row, cited by sources. UNIPEC is the trading arm of the state oil major, Sinopec. It has suspended imports of crude oil from the United States due to the growing trade war between Washington and Beijing. 3 sources familiar with the situation said. They declined to be identified as they are not authorized to speak to the media. Chinese oil buyers had already slowed their purchase of U.S. oil to avoid a likely import tariff threatened by Beijing amid the trade dispute between the world's 2 largest economies. Y'all can check that out if you want to see more on that article. Also want to say numbers are in. Average home price is up over 5.5%. Average incomes are only up 2.8%. So y'all put that together. If the average home price is up 5.5%, but average incomes are only up 2.8%, and these are government numbers. Do I believe these numbers? No. These are the numbers that I, believe that they're willing to admit to. But if the price of purchasing a home has risen 5.5%, and your average income has only risen half of that, you can see what's happening to the middle class. It was quoted to have been said by someone dealing with student loans and how those are calculated, as well as how the housing market was projected, and affordability is at crisis levels. The engine of housing at this point is the first-time home buyer. So it's being let known that the engine of housing is the first-time home buyer. And, right now we're dealing with millennials who, from what I understand from the numbers, are buying less homes than the previous 2 generations. It might have been combined. New home sales are down 5.3% versus the expected 0.03%. So we might be looking at the housing market crash that might be taking place right now. And I guess, that's all I got. Go ahead, brother. That's all I got right now.
I just wanted to add to that. Very, very important. I'm glad you brought that last story up. There's an article that I would just add to this that kind of coincides to what you just said, is that the housing bubble and the housing collapse is about to start. And there was an article on July the 25th of 2018 that came out, and it was put out by BizNow, is the source. And the title of the article is Chinese Investors Do an About-Face Starting Selling U.S. Commercial Properties. Chinese investors pulled back from the United States commercial real estate in a very big way. In the second quarter, buying only $126.2 million worth of properties. At the same time, they sold a total of $1.3 billion worth of U.S. commercial real estate, according to the Real Capitalist Analyst data. Now, that is what is very, very important. See, what happens with a profit, the key to a profit is not where you sell, is where you enter the market. The Chinese investors entered the market when the overall housing prices were at the bottom. They know that they're at the top right now, and they know everything that's going to happen with the trade wars, with the currency wars, the trade wars that lead into a shooting war. And they know right now is the time to sell those properties. It's not just commercial real estate. They're selling not only commercial real estate, residential real estate. They're selling bonds. They're selling treasury notes. They're selling everything. And what they're doing is that they're taking the overall cash from that and they're repositioning it and re-leveraging it into something else, and other assets that are artificially suppressed right now that are going to explode. And they're going to be the ones that make that happen. And that's a lot about what tonight's show is about. And so I'm so glad that these were the articles that you chose, bro, because the last article is very, very significant to what's really going on and how it plays and how it can affect our everyday listeners and ourselves and our daily lives, because it is and it will further affect us going forward. So very, very important.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would like to say, and you'll love this, Brother David, the gold to housing ratio right now is 296.72 to 1.
Right.
And I do want to say for the, which is significant, I do want to say for the, the listeners, all the IBOR contracts that mature in 2021 and after have to be reset. And that's very significant on a level that I don't want to get into right now. I just want to get to the show at this point. So, unless you got any other current events that you want to speak on, brother, I feel like we can move forward.
Yeah, let's go ahead and move forward. But very important. I'm glad you read that, and this is what we need to be getting out to the people. And that overall ratio between gold and homes, it tells a very, very significant story, and history is playing itself out once again. So we're going to jump on that a little bit. What's that?
You want to touch on that, on how history is playing itself out again? Because,
you know what? Because of the show and how important it is, it kind of plays into this. So I'll bring it back into this. I'll have that flow into tonight's show so that it blends together really, really well. It's really a signal. It's a canary in a coal mine signal that an economic displacement, a huge economic displacement, is about to happen.
Right. Right. Exactly. So obviously, as y'all can tell, we got my good brother David of THANDO Radio back with us once again. Tonight we're going to be discussing and going into HR 5404, what it means and what to know. So, we're going to talk about what it is, why does it matter, how does it affect you and your family, and what can you do to protect yourself and your family when this wealth transfer really starts picking up speed, because that's exactly what's going on. What one of the, correlations I like to make with regards to how things are instituted from a control perspective, when you're talking about elite families or whatever, however you want to look at it, Illuminati, I don't care. But is a frog, if you put a frog in the water, and you heat it up over time, you make a flame, and you slowly heat the water up, that frog will sit there and it'll boil to death because it can't distinguish, that the water is being heated up. Because when it got in there, it was cool, and it's a cold-blooded animal, and this is how it works with these types of animals. But if you threw a frog into hot water, it would jump straight out because it would be able to tell the difference in temperature. Whereas a slow rise in temperature, the frog can't distinguish, and it will sit there and boil to death. It happens for real. You can try it if you want, but it's mean, ultimately, in my opinion. The same thing is with the masses or large amounts of people. Like large amounts of people in the psychology of, the masses or groups has been understood for a long time. And if you can, I can push back to just in this era, back to Edward Bernays, who was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who was the father of corporate marketing in America, and then subsequently was hired by most all major corporations on how to sell products to the masses and how to make commercials and to understand the psychology mostly of the housewife, because back in that time, women predominantly stayed home and took care of the house, so they were watching television, but also, of men as well. So bottom line is that these policies are instituted over time. They're instituted slowly. And if you pay attention, you can see what's happened, but overall, the institution of these policies happens slowly. And that's how governments do it, because they understand the psychology of the mass. So when we're discussing this topic, obviously, and specific other topics, when it comes to, economic initiation of policies, you can read in, their documents. The International Monetary Fund says, and we went over this, I don't know if it was last week or a week before, but we went over this on, the foundation on how they want to decash society, and they didn't want to do it through decree, a governmental decree. They'd rather have it be adopted gradually and, have the banks and service providers and businesses institute and encourage this cashless society through fees imposed and so on and so forth, and have it trickle down slowly versus them, doing a legislative act, off the cuff, and people, it's too immediate. And humans are creatures of habit, so immediate differences in circumstances or position is very jarring to us, usually. So they understand this, and this is how they're doing this, and they're implementing it, and it's slow. So, there's a lot of people who can be called, whistleblowers or conspiracy theorists or whatever. We see this coming. We can't tell you exactly when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. And bottom line is, it's best to be prepared. Prepare for the worst and, hope for the best. And, foundation, we're looking to make sure that you're prepared. So with that being said, how do you want to format this, brother? You want me just to read? Because the bill is short. You want to read the bill? Do you want to? I can let you. You could take over, because these is precious metals, and honestly, I defer to this brother, and I have no problem saying that. So I guess, brother David, how you want to? What we'll do? I'm just gonna hand it off to you. How that? Okay.
Yeah, that's cool. Because what I want to do, and I just want to say, I'm glad that you used that analogy because it's so true. The way in which you control people is through a slow, methodical approach. And you do it through magic, because the key to magic is not to trick you, but to make you believe. They make you think that you have freedom when actually what you have is subjugation and enslavement. And how you do that is you do that through energy. You control people's energy. When you control people's energy, you have all of their talents and ability at your full disposal, even to the point where they will deny themselves and will give their single life for your overall agenda. They sell out to what they've been indoctrinated to. They sell out to the boiling water. And so that's very, very true. And in today's show, we're going to jump into this now, very important show. And as we started off, we're going to take a look at House Resolution 5404. And what I want to do is I want to go down this line and talk about it and give you an opportunity to see what's going on so that you can make the best decision for you and your family and in your neighborhood, in your community, and the overall collective good of everyone. Because you'll see something that's very telling here. We give seminars throughout the country, and a lot of what's in this bill is what we talk about at our seminars. Because we try to give, and we've been talking about this for a very long time, because the system establishes control over a period of 1,000,000 years. They have their policies and their procedures to be methodically carried out. Their methods is always in the direction of their objectives. And by them having a long-term goals and plans, they put the general population that they're using those objectives against, that is actually the burden bearers of those objectives, they put them on 2 weeks or a month plan. And you can never defeat an enemy in war with a plan of 2 weeks and a month when they've been planning for millions of years. And I do mean millions. So what changes can happen quickly. It's the execution of your free will. And once you start questioning things, you can start to put things into an order that best serves your interests, your family's interests, your community's interests, the human species' interests. And H.R. 5404 is of great concern, but it's telling you so many different things that it's cluing you into how the system views you and uses us, how it views me, and it tries to use me. And that can only happen if I surrender, if I become a soldier to their cause and ignore the warrior that I was called to be. So let's take a look at this. Now, this H.R. 5404, you can go to congress.gov, and I suggest that you do that. So for those of you that, want to reference this, which is always good, you should. Let's go to the source, and it's going to be Congress. And right now, H.R. 5404 is in the House of Representatives. It was introduced on March the 22nd of 2018. It was introduced by Representative Alexander, a Republican out of West Virginia. Now, I'm a political atheist. I believe that they're all equally worthless. But what I do is I do listen to them for a reason, because a lot of times they'll give you clues and tell you things in reading between the lines on what the agenda is. They may not even know it because they're following the script. So let's go to this House Resolution 5404. And like I said, you could go to congress.gov and just put in H.R. 5404. Here it goes. H.R. 5404, to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. It's the 115th Congress, second session, to define the dollar as a fixed weight of gold. H.R. 5404 in the House of Representatives on March 22nd, 2018. Mr. Mooney of West Virginia introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on Financial Services. A bill to define the dollar as a weight of gold, to be enacted by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled. Section 1, findings. Here is where we're going to get to the meat, and it's very, very important. Finds the following. Number 1, the United States dollar has lost 30% of its purchasing power since 2000. 30% of the purchasing power since 2000. In this very first statement, they just let you know what they think about you and how they're using you. Here's why that's the case. Since 2000, the dollar has lost 30% of its purchasing power. Who relies on the dollar? And I'm going to tell you, it's not the corporation of the United States. It's you. And the reason why you depend on the dollar is because they have made it so that you have become addicted to it, thinking that it's money when it's not. Never has been, never will be. And it's losing purchasing power. What does that really mean? This is what it means. Is your overall talents and ability and labor force energy losing its value at any time, or is it gaining value? It always gains value. It's not losing value. But what they pay you in, what they give you in exchange for, you give them all of your energy and they give you cash, which is worthless and is losing purchasing power. Now you can see that they're robbing you. They're using an instrument, a debt instrument, and paying for debt to get an asset. This is why they call human resources at corporations, because the humans that work for them are a resource to them. Just like oil, there's natural resources and there's human resources, and they're using and controlling that. And by doing that, they're able to control and not own. They're able to dictate and have prosperity, and they pass out economic they pass out economic plight that will disenfranchise you ever having inheritance to pass on. Passing someone on your cash, leaving them your cash, is not an inheritance. You're passing on debt. It's just like you taking your car note and your mortgage and passing it to them. Here's the mortgage, here's the car note. The burden is now yours because it loses purchasing power. And I know that goes against everything that you've been taught in school that we've been domesticated to, because we've been taught those things in school and domesticated to them because they exploit us. We're basically giving up our priceless energy and receiving nothing in return. Would you work 100 hours, 200 hours, 40 hours for a leaf, a piece of paper? You would exchange all of that energy for a piece of paper. You would say, nowhere in the world. I'm not doing that for that. But that's exactly what we do when we get paid in debt, in cash. And they're telling you right here that it's losing purchasing power, meaning your overall value of your energy is being siphoned from you, and you're not benefiting from it at all. Ways and means. Our way of life provides for their means of life. It goes on. Number one, and 96% of its purchasing power since the end of the gold standard in 1913. Well, in actuality, it's lost. The dollar, which everybody thinks is cash, everybody thinks is money, has lost over 173% of its purchasing power when you really look at it. See, they create something and not have to give any energy to it. All they do is press a button. It's the printing press button or a computer button, and they can create debt because of the algorithms that they've created. And they do that. They don't have to give up anything. It's just like you. You can make someone give you everything that they own, and you give up nothing. Who's winning and who's losing? Very important. Number two, under the Federal Reserve, 2% inflation objectives. The dollar lost half of its purchasing power every generation of 35 years. They're telling you what they've already intended this to do. They knew this at the Bretton Woods decision. They knew this at the beginning of the financial of man's economy, because they knew, hey, how do we enslave people? We'll make them work for free. Well, how do we make them work for free? Well, you see this piece of paper, or you see this currency or this or that, is not worth anything, but we'll tell them it's worth everything in the world, and they'll do whatever we tell them. They'll give up everything. They'll give up their inheritance and their birthright. They'll kill, maim, and destroy each other in order to have what we have deemed and said is valuable, but we know is worthless. Goes on. Number three, American families need long-term price stability to meet their household spending needs, save money, and plan for retirement. They're basically telling you that there's going to be an economic collapse that is going to get rid of retirement, the savings of what you thought of savings of money, in your household. Quality of life and standard of living is going to be compromised. See, and they do this in their writing. Their grimoires and their writings tell a message, but it's not the one that they've taught us to read. It's what they taught us not to comprehend in what we read. They're so telling. American families need long-term price stability. What does that mean? there is no price stability. Basically, they're telling you once again, you're getting paid something that has no value. And because of that, you're losing your prosperity. You're under financial servitude and you don't even know it. Price stability, to meet their household spending needs, save money and plan for retirement. They're saying all of this because they know that they're going to create an economic crisis and that this bill is going to be their solution to it all. But when they invoke this bill, it's going to be the worst thing that ever happened to us. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. Number 4, the Federal Reserve policy of long-term inflation has made American manufacturing uncompetitive, raising the cost of the United States manufacturing goods in more than 40% since 2000, compared to less than 20% in Germany and France. What are they telling you about? This is the overall trade war. First, it was the currency war that turned to a trade war. Then it's going to turn into a shooting war. And it's going to be against the East and Germany. And France is going to have to follow where Germany goes. And this is why they named them specifically here. This is what they're going to use as a reason to go to war. And I'm going to tell you something. They don't go to war. They write laws that they don't have to obey. They create debt that they don't have to pay. And they declare wars that they don't have to fight. They make you obey, pay, and fight. And that happens because we allow them. Because we don't know the difference between currency and money. And because of that, we're always in a position of disadvantage from the malevolent fraud of the financial institutions. It goes on. Number 5, between 2000 and 2010, the United States manufacturing employment shrunk by 1/3 after holding steady for 30 years at nearly 20 million jobs. Well, there are going to be plenty of jobs in America after everything is over. Everybody will have a job, but no one will be getting paid anything. What difference if you have a job and you're not getting paid? What difference if you have a good job and they're just paying you a debt instrument that has no intrinsic value? You may think that you have a good paying job, but you don't. It's all fraudulent. And this is why it's so fraudulent, is that they're even telling you that they've created an instrument of counterfeit and fraud, and they give it to the people in exchange for their labor, in exchange for their energy, which is priceless. Number 6. The American economy needs a stable dollar, fixed exchange rate, and money supply controlled by the market, not the government. Well, there is no differentiating, but there is no difference between. You can't differentiate between the government and the corporations. They're one and the same. But what they're admitting here is that things are going to get so bad here that fascism is going to take over. Meaning this is that corporations will dictate the overall policies, procedures, and laws that you'll have to live by. This is why everybody will have a job and they won't get paid anything at all. So they're admitting to here that they're moving towards a fascist state even more than what it is right now. And it says that the American dollar needs the American economy needs a stable dollar, a fixed exchange rate, and money supply controlled by the market, not by the government. See, the money supply that they're talking about is not what you think. They're not talking about cash. They're not talking about currency. The money supply they're talking about is assets, that being you, being one of the assets that they're leveraging. They're leveraging oil, the precious metals, food, water, land, and human resources. That's the money supply. But we think it's something else. We think it's the dollar bill. And because of that, we go to a table that's unevenly yoked, and it's always waged against you. You can never win. You can never get out of it. And they're telling you these things in this overall bill that they're going to pass, in my opinion, in the middle of the night. And when they do pass it in the middle of night because of an emergency economic crisis that has put the nation under such stress of national interest and continuity of government, they're going to enact this. And when they do, it's going to be a trap like no other trap before, even greater than the overall capturing of spirits, capturing of souls and capturing of people off of the continent and bringing them here to enslave them. It'll be much greater than that. And we'll get to that as to why as well. So here we go. Continuing. The gold standard means legal tender defined by a convertible into a certain quantity of gold. The gold standard means legal tender defined by convertible into a certain quantity of gold. And I want to just say this. This is very, very important. See, they are going to always be in a position of advantage, and they're always going to exploit you. How much gold and silver do you have? Because this bill is just not about gold. It's more about silver. It actually, if you read this bill correctly, it would actually read that to define the silver as a fixed weight of gold, because the word dollar means silver. But what they're doing here is this. They are going to ensure that they have an asset-based economy, because in having an asset-based economy, they want to make sure that they will always have the momentum and you will actually be hamstrung. How it works is this. How many assets do you have? If you count your home as an asset, you're wrong. It's a liability. If you count your car as an asset, you're wrong. It's a liability. They're all liabilities because they're bonded by debt. Your home is bonded by debt, even if you pay it off. Even if you pay it off. But see, what they did is they made sure that the general population here doesn't have any assets. You all remember about 10 years ago, you saw cash for gold places everywhere, in every strip mall, on every corner, because they knew 10 years or 13 years later they were going to invoke this overall law. And the first thing that they wanted to do is what I call soft mining, take all of the gold from the people, even the scraps of gold from the people, because the scraps of gold are going to be so valuable and the scraps of silver is going to be so valuable that if you have those things, you are going to be able to seize the opportunities from changing from a debt-based economy to an asset-based economy, or the wealth transfer into assets. You will actually be momentumized by that overall transfer because you have an asset. But see, what they did was they ensured that every person here divested themselves of the future. They enslaved the ones that you have yet not named by soft mining, by tricking you and giving up your silver and your gold. We don't even have silverware anymore. It's either plastic or aluminum or whatever it is. It's not silver. So they know their overall money has always been silver and gold, one of the most perfect forms of money. And they've been giving the general population pieces of paper, coupons, that have an expiration date on them, and their redemption is only for so long, but it loses its overall redemption power as it goes along and gets closer to it going to zero. The next one. Under the gold standard, through 1913, the United States economy grew at an annual average. Yeah, you got to go to a commercial?
No. We don't do commercials.
Yeah.
I just wanted to state, I wanted to point out something. When it says, the gold standard means legal tender defined by and convertible into a certain quantity of gold, all right? And they spoke about the dollar, earlier. The dollar loses half of its purchasing power every generation. I do want to point out that they haven't, the quantity is not defined. The Constitution says money is gold and silver, and we're discussing the dollar and we're discussing the gold standard, but not the dollar defined. I do want to point that out, too. You know what I'm saying?
And that's critical. And that's going to definitely come into the last part. That's absolutely true. That's critical. They didn't tell you what that measure was. And that's astute, because that's going to be very, very pivotal, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. Next one, number 9. Under the gold standard, from 1913, the United States economy grew at an annual average of 4%, 1/3 larger than the growth rate since then, and twice the level since 2000. See, they staged this. All of the financial markets are rigged and fixed and regulated. And that word regulate means to establish control. For who? For them. See, what they did with retirement, pensions, and savings, they said, hey, give us your cash now, give us your energy now, and we promise when you get older and you can't work anymore, we'll have a boatload of cash waiting for you. But they'll give you a boatload of cash, but it won't be able to buy anything. Here's how you can tell that this is happening, and I want to give this thought to you all. I want you to picture this. Tonight, many of us have board games at home. If you don't, go to Walmart, pick up a board game. Pick up a board game, Monopoly, if you still can find it. Take out the overall cash that's there, and then go home, count it all. Take out $400, and then the next morning on your way to work or whatever you do, stop and try to put some gas in your car with that Monopoly money. You'll walk in and they'll say, what is this? We don't accept it. That's exactly what's going to happen with all of the cash that you have and that you've been saving in. It doesn't matter if you got 10 million of it, 100 million of it. All of it is equally worthless. It always has been. It was just a matter of time. You just didn't know when the expiration date was, but they told you it's been losing purchasing power. It's been going to zero. Alan Greenspan said at a congressional meeting, he told Congress, when he was the Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan said, I can give you as much cash as you want. I can project it out as far as you want, but what I can't do is guarantee the purchasing power of it. He told you, I can give you as much paper as you want. You can steal from the people all you want, but they won't be able to buy anything with it. And this is all happening right under our noses because it's intentional. Number 10, the International Gold Exchange Standard from 1914 to 1971 did not provide for the United States dollar convertible into gold, and therefore helped cause the Great Depression and stagflation. What are they saying? They did cash for gold. You give them gold, they give you cash. They would not let you take cash and get gold on the open market. You had to be strategical in when you do that. If you've been doing that, you're wise. What you actually been doing is that you actually have been saving money, because you get rid of dollars as soon as you get them, the Federal Reserve notes as soon as you get them, because they are meaningless and worthless. They're not money, and you've been exchanging it for money. They told you the secret right there. Number 11, the Federal Reserve's trickle-down policy of expanding the money supply with no demand for it has enriched the owners of financial assets, but endangered the jobs, wages, and savings of the blue-collar worker. They told you what their plan is. They said the Federal Reserve's trickle-down policy. Who is the Federal Reserve? I don't know exactly who they are. It's a private organization, but I will say this. It's probably made up of the original founding fathers of this country and their families. It's probably made up with all of the major banking corporations throughout the world, the central bank. It's made up with all the government entities. That's who the Federal Reserve is. And they created a policy, a trickle-down policy. See, they trickle down because it's a methodical, slow approach to boiling you. And before you know it, you cooked. And by doing that, they've enriched themselves. And they said it here, with no demand for it, it has enriched the owners of financial assets. What are financial assets? They're not talking about what we consider consumerism. They're talking about real assets. They're talking about oil. They're talking about farmable land. They're talking about water. They're talking about the precious metals. And they're talking about food. And they're talking about citizens. Those are the assets that they've enriched themselves. But it endangers the job, wages, and savings of the blue-collar worker. That would be the common person. That's the economy that's going to collapse. The economy is not going to collapse. It's the common person's economy that's going to collapse. That's what they're telling you here in H.R. 5404. Number 12, restoring America's middle-class prosperity requires a change in monetary policy authorized to Congress in Article 1, Section 8, Clause 5 of the Constitution. Restoring America's middle-class prosperity requires change in the monetary policy authorized to Congress. See, it sounds good, but they know you're not ready. Because the Constitution wasn't written for you. The Constitution was only written for the founders and their overall families, and they were we the people that put it into the Constitution. That's who the Constitution has always been for and will always protect. It will never protect the citizen. How do you know it'll never protect a citizen? Because a citizen is not paid what a constitutional member is paid. A constitutional member is paid gold and silver coin only. It's still in the Constitution today. But they send you what? Cash, checks, debt instruments, because you're the slave and the burden bearer of the Constitution. And this isn't just something that we're making up. It's right here in front of you. If they haven't taught you this because they don't want you to know that we've been deceived. Deceptive measures have kept us impoverished because they created an economy that was absent of the great creator's intention. They became the money changers. They changed money. They changed our belief and our thoughts of money through magic. They made us believe a piece of paper was money. It's so indoctrinated and so ingrained in our thoughts, and we're so embedded with it that it's hard to believe that this could ever happen because it's always been there for. I've always been able to buy something for it. Well, that always ends because every single form of currency throughout human history has gone to zero. It returns to its intrinsic value of zero. The U.S. dollar is no exception. They're actually telling you this in this bill. Money does grow on trees. The bankers created that slogan that money don't grow on trees so that they can embed in you the thought process that's right because it can only be a piece of paper. Hate to tell y'all, they lied. Money does grow on trees. It's called peaches, it's called oranges, it's called pears. That's the great creator, God Almighty's economy. The ecosystem. It provides sustainability so that you'll never have to pay taxes or work for anybody. You can be a warrior that maintains their sovereignty and self-determination. Become the burden bearers of the slave of the economy. This is the truth. So whenever somebody tells you that money doesn't grow on trees, they're either lying or they're ignorant to the difference between currency and money. Most likely it's the latter. But depending on who it is that you're talking to, they may actually be lying. Because money does grow on trees. So, almost finished. Very important. This is very important. You need to talk about how this is going to affect us. It goes on. Now, Section 2, define the dollar into terms of gold. Effective 30 months after the date of enactment of this act, meaning after this act becomes law, the Secretary of the Treasury in this act, referred as Secretary, shall define the dollar in terms of a fixed weight of gold based on that day's closing price of gold, and the Federal Reserve Bank shall make Federal Reserve notes exchangeable with gold at the statutory gold definition of the dollar. What are they saying there? They're going to give you 30 months. Here's the key. 30 months to convert and to make this overall change in the overall economy that's here. But in that change, the conversion rate is going to be what kills you. And this is what they know. It all sounds good, but this is a death warrant that they're saying. This is an economic death warrant that they're signing against you. And they realize that every citizen is a dead person walking economically because of this. You don't have any assets. And they're going to an asset-based economy. In the new asset-based economy, it won't matter what your credit score is. You can have an 875 credit score, 1,000 credit score. It will mean nothing. Your overall pay history could be that you've never missed a payment in 100 years. That won't matter. The only thing that matters, that matters in a debt-based economy. In an asset-based economy, this is the only thing that matters is one question. What assets do you have to collateralize your monetary direction? And you can't say Jordans. And you can't say red bottoms. Because those are all consumer goods. They're not assets. They have no intrinsic value. And they know that the general population has no assets. All they have is debt. And this is what's going to happen. They're going to say that there's a conversion rate. The new dollar is now backed by gold and silver. In order for you to get that, you're going to have to trade in $30,000 to $100,000 of the old debt instruments or the old dollars for the new ones. And you're going to get $30,000 to $100,000 for just one of those. Do you know what that's going to do to every person here that doesn't have assets? It's going to shut the bar to where you'll never, ever be able to get out of the economic caste system because there will be a fight throughout the world for assets. And if you don't have any assets to leverage to acquire more assets, you won't be able to use a debt instrument to get any assets. They won't be accepting your monopoly money for anything. And this is why this bill is going to completely disenfranchise everyone that doesn't have assets. And they're telling you that. See, they always tell you before they do it. It's a sick part of their satanic rituals that they follow. They got to tell you what they're going to do to you so that you'll be a willful participant through ignorance. And they can always make the claim they knew or should have known. Number 3, during the 30-day month period following the date of enactment of this act, the United States government shall take timely and reasonable steps to disclose all of its holdings of gold, together with a compensatory report of any U.S. government purchases or sales, this enhancing the ability of the market and the market participants. Who are the market participants? It won't be anybody that's a debt slave. It will only be individuals that now the economy needs. An economy always needs assets. It uses assets to exploit the debtors and to arrive at a fixed dollar gold parity in an orderly fashion. Here's the problem with that. Most of the gold that the U.S. has is either stolen from its citizens or stolen from other nations. And the other nations are going to tell the U.S., hey, you can't go on the gold standard until you give us back our gold. This is why Germany is talked about in this overall bill, because Germany repatriated their gold from the U.S. and they were pissed. They were so pissed they had to kill Gaddafi. They killed Gaddafi to pay Chavez. They invaded and they created through the Nazis, destabilized the Ukraine to start the payments to Germany. Then they allowed a hurricane, Sandy, to go through New York to delay that process even further. They steered a hurricane through Manhattan to prevent the overall payment or disclosure of the German gold. This is why they hate Germany now. Because Germany called their bluff. It was the French that called Nixon's bluff, or the U.S.'s bluff, that caused Nixon to close the gold window. It was France that did it. And this is why France and Germany is named in this overall bill. Not a coincidence. And when these other countries are going to demand their gold back and the U.S. is going to say no, and you know what they're going to have a response to? It's going to be a military response, but it's going to be the worst kind of military response. It's not going to be by warships or bullets. It's going to be by cyber attack. Not only will you be going through the worst economic collapse ever, but you'll be going through that economic collapse in a grid down situation where the lights won't be on. All of these things are being put into place. And it all has to do with the precious metals. Obama signed a law before he left office. Celebrity figurehead Obama signed into law where you can look it up for yourself, where private citizens and corporations can go out into space and to mine celestial bodies. He signed that into law. Why did he do that? Because the overall precious metals, the earth doesn't produce precious metals. The earth isn't yielding any precious metals. The earth produces oil and water. It produces that. The lies that they told you scientifically how oil gets on the planet is a lie. But see, the precious metals is extraterrestrial. It has to come to the earth from outside of the earth's atmosphere. And they've mined all of that. And the one that they've mined all of it of is not gold. See, they connected everyone to gold so that you would ignore the truth. And the truth is silver. They don't have any more silver. This is why Obama signed into law that corporations can go into space to mine celestial bodies, planets, and meteorites. And then Trump announced the overall space marines recently. One president did a little bit, the next one does another. It's a slow process. No one ever sees what's happening. What are they doing? They don't have any more silver on this planet. Now they got to go to the moon and to Mars to get it. And when they harvest that overall silver from the moon, do you think that they're going to allow the overall pricing of it and the value of it to come back here to be where it is right now? Absolutely not. Because silver is a critical, it's more valuable than all of the precious metals combined. No silver, no economy. Many of you may not even be aware of how important silver is. No silver, you couldn't exist. But I want to stay here on this 5404 because it's very important. They've enacted this, and it's in Congress right now, and it's going to be passed, and I think it's going to be passed, and it's waiting to be passed when the appropriate moment of crisis comes. They'll never let a good crisis go to waste. There's going to be an economic crisis, and this is going to be the remedy. And they're going to blame the East, China, and the BRIC nations, and that's going to perpetuate the war that they're going to lose. And the U.S. will be put under receivership, and the states will start to untie itself. This is why the states are running right now frantically to establish gold and silver and precious metal depositories. Texas was the first one to open up 2 months ago because they know where it's coming. You don't, because they don't tell you. So this is more than important. And I know that we're running out of time, but I wanted to just express this to you on what's happening. Here's the critical part before if you have any questions or any comments about it. The overall China, the BRIC nation, have already determined that the U.S. will be on a gold standard. The U.S. has been trying to delay it as long as they can because they don't have the gold. They have the gold, they don't have the silver. And the gold that they have is stolen. And they know that they've created far too much debt and they can't pay back the overall debt. And there's not going to be a debt jubilee. It's not going to be a debt jubilee. Debt is never forgiven. It's either defaulted on or paid off in man's economy. It should be forgiven in the great creator's economy. It's known as the Shemitah. But let me get back to what this is really about. Right now, the East has already decided that the U.S. economic time is up. So much so that some of the Forex trading or some of the currencies that selective individuals out of the East can acquire is known. There's something that's called the USN, the U.S. note. You won't find it talked about officially here in the United States. Obama was supposed to announce it at the Treasury. He was there with Dunford, Loretta Lynch, and Jack Lew, and then he instead of following that script, which was smart, he started to talk about something else because he didn't want to be the one that introduced the USN. Why? When he was leaving. It was a smart choice. I'm not going to let them know that it's about to go, the lights is about to get cut out on them. So, in Asia, some of the influential banks for selective individuals have something called the USN. And here's the key with the USN. It's kind of like this. You can use dollars to get yuans, to get yens, to get British pounds, to get Russian rubies, to get all of the currencies of the world. You can buy and sell those currencies for U.S. dollars, or you can buy and sell U.S. dollars in those to get those currencies, however you would like to do it. And it goes all the way down, and there's a bank out of Hong Kong called DBS. And they have in their listings, I've sent it to many people. And in this listing, it says the USD, and then just below the USD, it has something called the USN. The USN is the gold-backed note of the United States Treasury. But the general population can't get it. But the thing that's so important and the thing that's telling about this is that it says this. It says USN and USD to buy or sell NA. Meaning the NA is non-applicable, meaning you can't use U.S. dollars to get the USN. One of the things that China said is that when they go to the gold standard, they will not allow any country or any individual to use the U.S. dollar to acquire the gold-backed currency. And they went even so far as saying you won't be able to buy gold or silver with the U.S. dollar. Because they're not going to allow you to exchange nothing for something. They're not going to let you to develop a cash for gold scheme against them like they did to you. And when this happens, doesn't matter how many millions of dollars, U.S. dollars you have, they won't be able to buy a thing. They won't be accepted. This is why Switzerland and the rest of the world is divesting themselves of U.S. treasuries. And the ones that they're giving it to is the people here, you and I. So this is right here in front of us. I don't know if we have any comments or questions. It's very, very important. This is something that you cannot deny. It's right here in front of you, and you have to move on this as quickly as you possibly can.
Yeah, it's very, very important. I love the way how you speak on this. It's obvious that you studied, and it just speaks to your expert status. But ultimately, and to break it down, is what I want to say is, and the only thing I would add to what you said, brother, is that here comes the economic and class separation. There's going to be one class of people that have a certain type of currency and are able to obtain a certain type of currency, and there's going to be another class of individuals that have another type of currency and are stuck in that. And ultimately, there's only going to be certain products, goods, and types, and let's say grade. If you want to talk about AA grade, then you got AA grade, and you got B grade. Let's just talk about credit. Credit won't matter. What will matter is the currency that you have access to, which will determine the level of the quality of your goods and your services that you're able to obtain, and if you're able to obtain goods and services at all.
Right.
So this is very profound. Yeah, definitely, man. Appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Much love, much respect.
Yeah, much respect.
We'll
man.
have to come back.
Likewise.
We'll have to come back and spend some time on this and talk about how you can. What's some of the things that you should be doing? You definitely should be doing those things. And the urgency of this is that the only person that can save you and your family in the community at large is you executing your free will, not to engage in what they've been given to you, the slave wage. A slave's wage is always debt.
Right. Every time. What I was going to say, yeah, you definitely got to come back. And we definitely got to get into some other things. We do, if you want, we can take some question and answer. Bottom line is, I would say, right now, everybody listening to this, best thing you can do right now is go exchange less than $20 at this moment right now in most jurisdictions for an ounce of silver. As many times as you can. If you can get gold, get gold. But bottom line is like, get some silver and get some gold. And that's the only way that you're going to, physical. Because right now you can exchange, Federal Reserve notes for gold and silver. Physical gold and silver. You can do it right now. And to me, it's weird. Because I know the real. I know the truth. So, I do it as much as I possibly can. Big amounts, little amounts, I don't care. I consistently pay myself, pay my family, pay my last name first. And it's just the percentage that has gotten more and more through me becoming more and more disciplined. So, but then we got to talk about how to convert it. Precious metals, how to, if a new, monetary system or note system with monetary based economics pushed behind it, we got to talk about how, people like us, could realistically enter into that, and what time is the best time to do it, and in what manner. We don't want to, just roll up with a whole bunch of gold and silver like, and to start talking. You definitely want to be very, particular and pragmatic about, how this overall wealth transfer, and then class separation. There's going to be a shakeup, and so whatever sticks, and what doesn't. And a lot of people are going to fall. So, and how to transition is. But right now, you can still, definitely get some precious metals. So I recommend you do that. We got about 88. Let's be honest, 82 seconds left in the broadcast. If you're listening live, you want to call in, catch the rest of the broadcast. We're going to have about probably 15, 20 minutes left. Call the number 424-222-5250. Once again, we're getting to about 60 seconds to get into there. Everybody who's not called in will follow. That's what happens. I just want to make that, announcement. But go ahead, brother. Sorry about that.
It's very important because there's a proper way to acquire the precious metals. Because if you do it wrong, you won't have it for long. If you don't know what you have, you won't know what to do, and you won't keep it. If you don't know what you have, you won't understand, and you won't know how. And we teach these things, and we'll give that opportunity to everyone that's here because it's just that important.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know how much you want to divulge, man, but you can pretty much say what you want as far as what you do and how you can help, and how they may get in contact with you, or if it's on,
that we're going to come back at some time and just talk about that, because what we're going to do is put some stuff together for everyone. We're going to have classes. We teach you how to gain interest. We teach you how to properly acquire the precious metals. We teach you because you'll have a value system, and you'll understand how to use it. And when you do that, you will be the overall start of the prosperity that has been lost to be erased and to be given back into your family. The system won't be able to stop you. It can't, because it goes by that same policies and same procedures, and we'll show you what they are. And so we'll do that together here at Foundation, and we're going to actually be doing some traveling to give seminars. Very, very important. I encourage you all to be a part of it when we do it. We're going to put that together and let you know when that is. And we're going to do that really relatively quickly. By next week, you'll know exactly when, where, and why, and how.
Absolutely. It's very important, and it's always important. If you're not keeping up to speed with what money controllers, commerce controllers, commodity controllers, and essentially good and service controllers are doing, that you should at least keep up with those who are. And that's part of what we do here at the Foundation. Obviously, it's part of what Brother David does with his enterprise. Especially with THANDO Radio, and that's the way we move ultimately in our own lives. And I know for myself, I can speak for myself, it's a way of life. This is the things that we speak about. The guests that come on, these are personal friends of mine. These are people that I do business with. And, I know their family, they know mine, and this is how we live. It's not just for fashion or to be cool or to be trendy. This is really what we truly believe in, because we do specific research on specific subject matter beyond just economics, and all of it. You understand this stuff from a fundamental level. All of it, everything is connected. Everything. So protect yourself, and protect your family. Protect your last name. Exchange these pieces of paper for tangible assets. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. And that's what Brother David was talking about earlier. So with that being said, I don't know if we got a couple callers. Anybody got any questions? You want to take some questions, brother?
Oh yeah, definitely,
Possibly.
Definitely.
Okay, let's start out with, I think this is my brother Brian Bay. What's up, family man? Peace.
Peace. Appreciate the show that y'all doing. Yeah, can't say nothing else, but you know, I really enjoyed the information that he was dropping because I already knew some of this, but it's cool to hear it. You know, as far as the details and how they, and it kind of makes sense to me. They don't, you know, try to ward themselves before they give you the money. They want you, if they could trick you thinking something valuable, they're gonna do it. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have no questions, so I'm just gonna say thanks, appreciate it, you know, and I guess I'll talk to you another time.
Yes, sir. Thank
right,
you,
man.
brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate you,
man. Peace. Okay. Seven.
You know what the brother was saying is so true. We all knew that something's wrong. Something don't add up. It ain't right. Because that's our discernment, our true connection to the great Creator, and our ancient lies telling us don't believe this lie. So he's so true.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, he did say, you know, the way you say it. I mean, man. What was that? What did I say? 718? Did I say 718? 718 8092. 718-8092. Peace. Which name were you calling from?
Peace. It's me, Daryl. How you doing?
Oh, peace, Daryl. How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing, Brother Dave?
What's up, my brother? How are you? Good to hear you.
All right. Nice to hear you too. I bought a piece of silver from you out there in it was Texas, out there in Fort Worth. Yeah, 2 pieces. Yes. The question I have for you, I know silver is good for the body. Is it possible that we can buy, like, you know, when we live like a small unit and we like maybe don't have that much family members, is it possible that we could buy like small utensils, you know, stuff we can eat with, like spoons and forks, that we don't have to buy a large number? Do they sell like small sets of silver and stuff like that we can eat with?
Man, great question, brother. Great question. When you do that, yes, you can do that. I definitely suggest that you do that. And the thing about silver spoons and silver forks and silver knives, you don't need very many of them, okay? Because the silver kills all of the bacteria. So you don't need much, because those price points on those things are very, very expensive. This is why you don't see silverware anywhere in the stores anymore. It's exclusive, and in each piece is extremely expensive. But one of the things that you could do, the smart thing to do, is I always say that the key to a profit is where you enter. What you do is you buy small amounts of silver now, and then you can exchange it for other sets of things or other assets. Then you'll be able to get a whole set of silver spoons and silver forks. That's a way that you could do it, brother, and you can definitely do that with us at Prosperity Mint. And just, you can always email me directly at info@prosperitymint.com. That will come to me directly.
Okay. It's always a pleasure talking to you and seeing you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna let you take the next caller. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. Great question.
All right. Look forward to seeing you, Soil, and you too, Dave.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right, family.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
All right. We got a couple minutes left. I'll do one more caller. 205-0377. Once again, 205-0377. Peace. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Peace to the God. It's your brother Mellow Bay, also known as Copper Tone, you know what I'm saying? Superconductive energy, you know what I'm saying? Well, first and foremost, I just want to say, give thanks, you know what I'm saying, to the Creator and the ancestors, you know, all the forefathers and foremothers, you know what I'm saying, the forerunners, you know what I'm saying, afterwards.
Hey, fam.
You know, give thanks to you, brothers. Indeed, can you hear me, brother?
Hey. Take off the Bluetooth.
Oh, okay, bet. I'm going to say it out now. I'm glad you said that, bro. Yeah.
All right, there you go. Go ahead.
All right. You hear me now? I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Yep, I'm clear. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Indeed. My bad. You know, Bluetooth going low. We talked about that before. But, you know, give thanks, though, to the creators. You know what I'm saying? Forefathers, foremothers, you know what I'm saying? The runners, everybody here right now on the platform, you know what I'm saying? You, Brother Dave, so, you know what I'm saying? It's another brick in the foundation, though. It's solid. You know what I'm saying? This is economic liberation here. You know what I'm saying? It's going to get our people, you know what I'm saying, really, you know, in the standpoint they need to be in, you know what I'm saying, before if they say, you know what I'm saying, the shit hit the fan. But at the same time, it's already going down, you know what I'm saying? People just really not, you know what I'm saying, they're not aware of it, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But I got something for you though. I'm over here, right? I'm digging through my bag with my, you know what I'm saying, with my scraps in it. I got a couple chains. I got some broken up, you know what I'm saying, some broken up gold. It's, you know what I mean, 10 over here, probably 10K here for it here. I want to get it melted down. I'm looking at this ring, too. I'm like, this the ring she said no to. So it's got 10 carat. It saves. And, you know what I'm saying, it's a gold thing. So I'm looking like, yeah. You know, I'm thinking like now on some, I'm looking at something totally different. So I want to possibly get that melted down, first thing, or, you know what I'm saying, then add to some. Then, secondly, I want to be working with something like a monatomic concoction where we can utilize that silver, you know what I'm saying, and
yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying, put it in the alkaline or something like that. So if you know what I'm getting at. So yeah, that's what that is. So yeah, but you know we got to talk about that. Don't see what the biz is, but yeah, I'm just over there thinking. I'm looking at this, you know what I'm saying, right now, and I'm thinking that like, man, this would go good inside the trust too as well. You know what I mean? They need maneuver. Put some things up because, you know what I mean, I got the twins, the boys, you know what I'm saying, I want to leave something behind for them, so, you know what I'm saying, that's another thing. But, yeah, definitely, though, so that's my thing with that. I got the scrap gold, though. I got the scraps, you know what I'm saying, I'm planning on add to it, you know what I'm saying, so that's another thing. What should I do, you know what I'm saying, what should I do? I got this scrap gold over here, and I got, like, I just that my family gave me and loved me. My pops gave me, like, some comic books, War of the Wars, Time Machine. They're like 7 cents. Daniel Boone and shit like that. But they're still in the plastic. It's still in the plastic. You know what I'm saying? I haven't got them appraised or looked at it yet, but they ain't not mint. But we would say, what's next between mint condition? You know what I'm saying? Next between that and decent. So, you know, I got some things now. Yeah, I'm like want to gather all this now, just see, you know, what can I work with and put together and create with that? So, you know, on some more economics, you know.
My brother, real quick, I'm going to tell you, this is something, I'm glad you brought this up because it's so important. And, brother, you can always contact me, you know, through Sot, or you can contact me directly at Prosperity Mint, info@Prosperity Mint. Here's what's up. Mint, M-I-N-T, yes, info@Prosperity Mint. Gotcha. Every person listening to this call, this is what you need to, in this show. This is what you need to do. All of the coins that you have in your homes, the quarters, nickels, dimes, and pennies, don't get rid of them. Keep them. What you want to get rid of is the dollar bills because the coins are actually a smaller, lower grade form of money. This is why when you go to the grocery stores, they got all of those machines that say, hey, bring us your coins and we'll give you dollars. That's the trick. Because you're giving them priceless and they're giving you worthless. So that's number one. And the scrap gold that you have, all of that gold, keep it. If you're going to melt it down, yes, melt it down. It'll be smaller. The purity of it will come up because you could turn 10K into 14K or even 24K. It matters how big it is and how much of the impurities that you melt off. You'll have a pure piece of gold, but it'll be much, much smaller. So keep all of that and just keep grinding in that way, and we'll help you with it, and we'll be straight.
Got you. Yeah, definitely. I want to go and set this thing up now because, you know, now I've been in preparation for quite some while, you know, and so I'm ready to get ready, you know what I'm saying, activate some things, you know what I'm saying, and create some things, man.
Yes, and we'll help you with that because we all need to be consuming silver. It's necessary. And we'll get everybody squared away. Brother, But just because of the interest of time, I love kindred spirits, man. We'll definitely consume this. I mean, continue this at another time.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Indeed. It was a pleasure. It was an honor, brother. You know what I'm saying? Indeed. Salutes, honors. So it's another one. You know what I'm saying? Give thanks. You know what I'm saying?
The Warriors.
You already know, bro. No, that we do.
Have a great,
peace and love.
Have a great week, man. Yeah, y'all know I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you soon. I know I will. I trust I will. And have a great week, man. All right, brother. I have another one question.
Yes, sir.
That I wanted to ask. As far as owning gold and silver, what would you what would you say to me if I was to say that I own gold and silver? What would you say in reply to that? And not like I'm not being mean. I'm actually like looking to learn. I'm not trying to argue with you. You can really tell that I'm just I'm teachable. So what would you say to me if I said, I own gold and silver, it's mine? What would you say about that?
Yes. I would say it's impossible. It's impossible because you didn't create it. Gold and silver is a living entity, because we have to be careful that we will not be what we had to endure. You can't own gold and silver. What you can do is you can control it. You can have it in your physical possessions. That way you can benefit from its intrinsic value, but you can't own it. You can't own it because you didn't create it. It was created by the great creator, God Almighty, for the sustainability of all life forms. And silver is the most important one. You can't own it. But I'm going to tell you what you can own. You can own a house. You can own a car. You can own debt. Because that is something that puts you in a position to where you're liable to default. Gold and silver can never go into default because it's always valuable throughout human history. So you can only control it. You can't own it. You could put your name on it, but as the brother just said, he's going to melt it down. And when you melt it down, what happens to the name that's on there? It's gone. It's absolutely gone. Ownership is not what we want to be looking at. Control is what we want to be looking at. It's like your cell phone. You can own your cell phone, but you don't control it. Don't pay your bill, and you'll see who controls it. Same thing with silver and gold. You can't own it. Nobody can own it. This is why they have to keep you from it, because when the general population demands that they have an asset for an asset-based economy, there's nothing that they can do about it. So they got to trick you because they can't own it either. They can only control it. It has no loyalty. It just has an existence. So I hope that I answered that question, my good brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I couldn't have hoped for a better answer, man. Excuse me.
Yeah, we can't own anything that God has created.
Oh, yeah, we can only, hope.
Then you become like the great Satan. You have an eye problem.
Right. Right. All right. Yeah, absolutely. So, man, I'm going to talk to you soon.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure.
Man, so appreciate you so much. Much love, much respect to you and to the listeners, and look forward. We're going to be doing some things because it's very, very important. There's so much to this. I know it's like a foreign language, but we're going to get everybody up to speed because we're going to need each other, because the black market is going to be determined, in the direction of it is going to be controlled by us, like we've always done. We always find a way.
Exactly. Well, yeah, look for more stuff, man. Appreciate you, brother, for coming on once again. Always a pleasure. It's an honor. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you soon, man, and have a great night.
Yes. You too. Peace, brother. Right. Much love, much respect.
Peace. All right. And that's it, y'all. I hope and I trust that, you were able to gain some insight, knowledge, and at the very least some understanding in regards to the topic at hand. There's going to be a shift, ultimately, to tangible asset-based economies and asset-based currencies. And, we just want you to be on the cusp of that and want you rocking with us as this stuff happens. As always, admin at welcometothefoundation.com. If you have any, further questions, like a book a consultation, you just want to say what's up, you think you got some news that's newsworthy, hit me up. Also, welcometothefoundation.com. Sign up for the email list. Check out the social media sites, Facebook, Twitter, so on and so forth. Check out the PDF section. Get to know some stuff. Just read. It's free, at the very least. Take care of yourself, but at the same time, get into a position of power as soon as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can, as quickly as you possibly can, as expeditiously as you possibly can, in a position of control. Because whether we like it, whether we want to pay attention to it, whether we believe, whether we agree, these things are coming. Change is coming. Change in a lot of things that we understand is coming. And, it's going to hurt, but we can determine how much it hurts, or, potentially if it hurts at all. But we are connected. We're interconnected, as humans, as neighbors, as friends, relatives, or whatever. So what happens to you happens to me. And even if I'm okay and my immediate family's okay, no matter what, I'm going to witness those and their families that are not okay, which in turn is going to hurt me. So, we do our best to inform as many people as we possibly can, weekly, daily, monthly, minutely, hourly. Doesn't matter. Because ultimately, if I can help anyone in any way, I'm also helping myself. With that being said, like I said, once again, welcome to thefoundation.com. Please check it out. I think it's pretty cool. Now take care of yourself. Be careful. Be diligent. But don't be fearful. Be deliberate. And, at least move in some sort of love, nobility type area, and just focus on tomorrow. But we prepare for the worst, because that's our responsibility. And just trying to help you take another step. Have a great night. Enjoy yourself. Love yourself and take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And until next time, next week, y'all have a great night and peace from Sot and the Foundation. Peace to God.
Doing this thing all the way live. High Frequency Radio.